في ساحة للعلم كنا نلتقي والحب والإخلاص زاد قلوبنا.
Right, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everybody to another explosive Qurtuba Online Academy math show brought to you by QOA Institute. I'm Mr. K from the QOA Institute, as well as Hilaal TV. We're shooting live from here, our state-of-the-art studios at the Qurtuba Online Academy in Midrand or in Lynbrough Park in Johannesburg. Guys, I hope you guys have been following all our series. Today we are shooting the 9th out of 16 episodes. We are talking about analytics today. I just want to also say Jazakallah to all and thank you to all the members of the public who sent your feedback about all our previous shows. Our last show on finance had a tremendous feedback, positive feedback, and we just want to say thank you. You guys are enjoying the show. No matter where I go, alhamdulillah, people are saying we're enjoying your show, we're enjoying your show. So guys, keep it up. Keep in contact with Hilaal TV and let us know your thoughts about the show and if you'd like to see more of these for 2023. Guys, let's get cracking. We're covering 16 over a period of 16 episodes. We're covering the math. This is the grade 12 math rescue program for the final exams for grade 12. Now we're starting with our episode today on analytics. This is paper 2. And guys, analytics is it's very easy. We're going to start off with grade 11 and I'm going to combine, in today's episode, I'm going to be combining analytics as well as, so this year will be for grade 11 and 12. Analytics will be for grade 11 and 12. And then we're going on to circle analytics and I'm combining the two. Right? Now circle analytics, guys, is only for grade 12. Now in your grade 12 final exam, obviously, this year is going to be about 20 marks. This year might be another about 15 to 20 marks. In total, the two components in paper 2 for grade 12 would be plus minus 40 marks. So guys, it's easy. It's just application of formula. You've been taught this formulas from grade 10. Let's get started with this. I'm going to clear the screen. The first thing we're going to start with the grade 11 and 12 component. Let's start with your formulas. So I'm going to move up here to the side here. Let's put down what formulas you need to know. So let's start off here with analytics. Guys, this is, like I said, grade 11 and grade 12. So let's start with analytics. The first formula we need to know is to calculate the distance between 2 points. Now, many of our older viewers who did mathematics in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, you won't be familiar with this term analytical geometry. You probably will recall when you were at school, it was a topic called coordinate geometry, where we dealt with a Cartesian plane and we had two pairs. We had point A, and let's say that was X and Y, and we had another point B here on the Cartesian plane, and that was X and Y, and we needed to calculate a variety of options with regard to the Cartesian plane. And the first thing that we need to know, so it was known as coordinate geometry before, it's now just been renamed or retitled analytical geometry. So it's the same work. You've seen it before, right? For our more elderly viewers. Let's start off with the distance formula, guys. The distance between 2 points. Now, I know at school, some of your teachers will show you, call it XA, YA, call this XB, YB. I just call it X1, Y1, X2, Y2. We can call any pair of coordinates X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So the distance between 2 points, if we would like to calculate what is the distance between 2 points, so the distance formula between A and B is going to be given. We always start off with the formula. Guys, we start off with formulas. Before we can start off with any application, I'll show you. I'm going to explain to you all the formulas. You've got to memorize these formulas. Yes, these formulas are given to you on a formula sheet, but don't worry about it. Memorize them. Okay, let's start off with the first formula, guys. The distance formula between A and B is given by the square root of x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared. Like I said, your teachers might show you xa minus xb all squared plus ya minus yb. It's the same thing. I will just be using throughout my content, I will be utilizing, I'll just call one point x1, y1 and another point x2, y2. So that's your distance formula. Where do we use the distance formula? Obviously for calculating the length of a line. We also use it for calculating the radius of a circle. Okay. That's our first formula, the distance formula. The second formula that is very important that we need to know is, you all said it, the gradient formula. Now the gradient means the slope. At what fraction is the slope standing at? Very important formula, and I'll show you where we're going to be utilizing the gradient formula. So what is, we call it the M of the line. So the M of line AB. And we all know it by now. You've been taught this from grade 10. Y2, change in Y over change in X. So Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Where do we use the gradient formula? We use it for finding the equation of a straight line, EQTN, the equation of a straight line. Right? We also use it for proving parallel lines. And you all know for parallel lines, the gradient of line 1 will equal to the gradient of the second line. So if I've got two parallel lines there, right? Oops, that doesn't look very parallel. Let's just go back. Let's say if I do that, can I go back there? There we go. So let's do that. If that line is parallel to that, then the gradient of this line will equal to the gradient of the second line. So the gradient for parallel lines, the gradient of the first line will equal to the gradient of the second line. We also use the gradient formula for perpendicular lines or for 90-degree lines. And for 90-degree lines, if we want to prove that this line is 90 degrees to that line, we will prove that the gradient of the first line multiplied by the gradient of the second line is equal to -1. You know these formulas. You've been shown this. So again, just a quick recap. Where do we use the gradient formula to find the equation of a straight line? For parallel lines, the two gradients are equal. For perpendicular or 90-degree lines, the gradient of the one line multiplied by the gradient of the second line is equal to -1. We also use it for the angle of inclination. Very important, grade 11s and 12s. The angle of inclination, angle theta. And how do we calculate angle theta? We say tan theta. We always use tan. We don't use sine. We don't use cos. We use tan. So tan theta is equal to the gradient of the line. So guys, we've got two formulas here. I'm just going to change the color here. So we've got two formulas. Number one, we got the distance formula. Please remember that one. The first one in red, the distance formula. There we go. And we've got the gradient formula. And there we go. This is just where we use these two formulas. There's another 2 or 3 formulas coming up, guys. There's another 2 or 3 formulas coming up. And that will complete the formulas that we require for normal analytics. I'm not talking about circle analytics. We're going to get to that just now. Okay, so take this down, guys. Take this down. The distance formula, the gradient formula. We're now going to go on to 2 more formulas. Let's go on to the midpoint formula. Let's go out of there. Right, we've got the midpoint formula. This is formula number 3. We're still busy with formulas. Now, if I would like to find the coordinates of a midpoint of a line. So if I call this point A, I call that point B, and this is point C, and I say that point C is the midpoint of this line, I want C's coordinates. How would I find C's coordinates? So here we go. X midpoint is equal to x1 plus x2 over 2, and then y midpoint is equal to the y coordinates of the midpoint is equal to y1 plus y2 over 2. So that is your midpoint formula, the third formula. So we had the distance formula, we got the gradient formula, we got the midpoint formula, and obviously the last formula that you require, we know, is the equation of a straight line. And the equation of a straight line, as you all know, y is equal to mx plus c. But if you are given one pair of coordinates, and the gradient, then to get y is equal to mx plus c, I'm going to be introducing you to a new formula. To get that, we're going to say y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1. So there's your pair of coordinates, x1, y1, the one pair of coordinates, and then the gradient, m. So when you're given this, you can use this formula to get back to that. We're going to be utilizing this formula a lot, especially when we are finding equations of tangents. Right, grade 12s, you know exactly what we're talking about. So take these formulas down. We got 4 formulas for analytics. 4 formulas. We had the distance formula. AB is equal to the square root x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared. The gradient formula, the m of AB, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We've got the midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 over 2 to find x, y1 plus y2 over 2 to find y, and then the equation of a straight line, y is equal to mx plus c. Good. I hope you guys are focused. I hope you guys got your books. You're following episode for episode and you've got all your notes. And I hope you guys are mastering and practicing on all these concepts so that you can apply it to your past papers. Don't start your past papers without mastering our notes first. Okay. So let's go. Let's get started with a model. Now that we've got all the formulas, let's get started with a model. So come, let's take this one down. Let's make up one, guys. Let's make up one. So let's put this down. Let's do that. And let's ask you a variety of questions on this. So in your exam, that's what you're going to see. That's your y-axis. That's your x-axis. And let's give you a diagram here, guys. Let's give you a point here. Let's give you a point there. Let's go from here to there, from here to here, and from there to there. Right, take this diagram down. Let's call it any alphabets. What would you guys like to call it? Let's call it point D. Let's call it D. That point there is point D. Let's call this point E. And let's call this point F. Let's give it a pair of coordinates. Let's say this is 4 and 20. Let's say this point here is minus 10 and 2. And let's call this point here, what do you want to call it? Let's call it 12 and negative 8. And there we go. There is our diagram. What I'd like you to do also, I'd like you to call this point, let's call this angle here, angle theta. So there we go, guys. There we go. Take this down. Take this diagram down. D, E, F, D 4 and 20, E minus 10 and 2, F 12 and negative 8. Now let's start off. Let's build you up with about 20 marks for grade 11s and grade 12s. We're then going to combine this with some circle analytics exclusively for grade 12. So stay focused to and stay tuned to channel 347 Hilaal TV. Okay, guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the Qurtuba Online Academy show, and I hope you guys are mastering all our content. And if you missed any of our episodes, don't stress. Go to Hilaal TV on YouTube. You'll see the Qurtuba Online links. Click on the link. All the shows are uploaded daily. Let's get started, guys. Questions. Question number 1. Let's see. We want the gradient of EF. Question number 1. Let's say they want the exam question. They want the gradient of DF. And it's only worth about 2 or 3 marks. So let's start. Now we're starting with the gradient, guys. We're starting with it. So the question will tell you what formula to use. They use the word gradient. So we know I've given you the formulas the beginning of the episode. Check your formula for your gradient. We're looking for the gradient of DF. So obviously, let's call this one x2, y2. Let's call this one x1, y1. Right, let's go. We want the gradient. So we're going to say in our answer, my answer is now going to be in red, the m of df, the m of df is going to equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You got the formula. I gave it to you at the beginning of the episode. So what's y2? You just substitute 20 minus 8. It's negative times a negative is a positive. So you're going to have 20 plus 8 over x2, which is 4 minus 12. And what do we have here? 20 plus 8, 28, over 4 minus 12 is negative 8. Now, let's see. Positive divided by negative is a negative. 4 goes into there 7 times. 4 goes into here 2 times. Your answer is negative 7 over 2. So the gradient of this line, guys, the gradient, the m of this line is equal to minus 7 over 2. And what you must do, The minute you're done with your answer, take your answer, go to your diagram, put it in here. Why? Because we are going to be utilizing it at a later stage. This is the opening question. I'm probably going to be giving you about 6 to 8 questions. This is question 1 out of 8. Okay, total marks, like I said, between 15 and 20 marks on analytics. Circle analytics, another 20 marks. Together, 40 marks for paper 2 for your final exams. Please make sure you know this work. Okay, so there we go. That is the gradient of DF. Let's go here. Let's see what can we, I need to delete. So let's go to my eraser and let's see. So that was the gradient of DF. I now want the equation of DF. So put there, question number 2. I want the equation of DF. Right? Question number 2, I want the equation. So I want you to start working it out already. So question number 2, grade 11s and 12s, I want the equation of DF for 4 marks. Right? While I'm erasing this, you can start working out the equation already for DF. So let's see whether you can work this one out. We've already got the gradient. We've got the gradient, grade 11s and 12s. We've got the gradient. Let's start now calculating what is the equation of DF. Now, right, we've got the gradient. There's the gradient. And I can use any one of these 2 points. I can use this point or that point. Remember I told you, if you are given the gradient and 1 point, you can use that new formula that I showed you. And what was that formula? That formula was y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. Remember, equation y is equal to mx plus c. So which point do you want to use? You don't necessarily, although we call this one x1, y1, you can call this one x1, y1 as well. So I'm going to be using that point and this gradient. So let's go. Y minus 20 is equal to m minus 7 over 2, negative 7 over 2 into x minus 4. Now all we do, we remove the brackets. Y minus 20 is equal to, let's multiply it out, minus 7 over 2x. Negative times negative is a positive. 7 times 4 is 28, divided by 2 is 14. Right? So there we go. Now we take the minus 20, take it out on your, take it over the equal to sign. Here's your final answer, guys. Here's your final answer. Y is equal to minus 7 over 2x plus 14 plus 20 plus 34. And there we go. That's your final answer. You got yourself 4 marks. 3 marks for the first question for your gradient. Another 4 marks. You got 7 marks already guaranteed in your final exams. It's easy work. Just know your formula and apply your formulas. Okay, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Right, I want now angle theta. I want you to find the next question, question number 3. Find angle theta. So let's put question number 3 down here. Let's put question number 3. I want you to find angle theta. So grade 12s, you can start with this one already. I'm just clearing up on this side. Find angle theta. So let's take all of this out. Let's see how this works. Let's get all this out. Let's see there. That's out, that's out, that's out. There we go. You can start working with finding angle theta there. Let's go for it. Find angle theta. Find angle theta. That is the angle of inclination. Finding angle theta is the angle of inclination. Remember on the formula sheet that I gave you at the beginning of this episode? Go back to the formula sheet. How do we find angle theta? So let's go to question number 3. We're finding angle theta. I'm just going to write it here on the side here. So question number 3, find angle theta. Here we go. So what formula do I use? I use the gradient formula. I say tan theta. Tan theta is equal to the m of the line. Now, which line? Tan theta, which line does the arrow touch? The arrow touches DF. So tan theta is equal to the m of DF. Do I have the m of DF? Yes, I do. Minus 7 over 2. So let's go. Remember I said, you can't use sine, you can't use cos. You always have to use tan. Okay, so tan theta is equal to m of DF. So let's go. Tan theta is equal to, what's the m of df? Negative 7 over 2. So theta is equal to, because we're looking for an angle, we use the shift key on our calculator. So let's go to our calculators, guys. Let's go to our scientific calculators. We're now going shift 10. So we go shift, whoa, no, not there. We go shift 10, and we put in there negative 7 over 2, negative 7 over 2. And what do I get? I get minus 74,05. Minus 74,05. Now, for now, just ignore the negative sign. For now, just ignore the negative sign. This angle here is obtuse. Right? It's greater than 90. What does obtuse mean? Greater than 90. 74,05. If I ignore the negative sign, 74,05 is an acute angle. It's less than 90. Now, how do I get an angle how do I get an obtuse from an acute, or an acute from an obtuse angle? I say 100, and we know that's the acute, that's the obtuse, right? This side here, that's the acute, that's the obtuse. So basically, that's your 74,05 on that side there. So we want this angle here on the opposite side. So we know angles on a straight line add up to 180. So obviously now, theta is going to equal to 180 minus 74,05, which is equal to, let's go to our calculators, guys. Let's go to our calculators. 180 minus 74,05. I get 105,95. 105,95, which is approximately 106 degrees. And there we go. We know that angle theta here from our x-axis up. Remember, your angle of inclination is always calculated anti-clockwise from your x-axis up, and that will give you 106 degrees. There we go. That's angle theta. Okay, so guys, take this down. We're going to cut now for an ad break. I hope you got all this down. We've finished the formulas. We've done the first 3 questions. Go through all of these notes. We're going to cut for an ad break. You are tuned to the Qurtuba Online Academy Math Show with me, your host and presenter, Mr. K. I will see you after the break. Guys, welcome back from our break. I'm your host and presenter, Mr. K, from the QOA Institute in association with Hilaal TV and Qurtuba Online Academy. We're shooting here from our studios live from the Qurtuba Online High-Tech Studios here in Johannesburg. Guys, let's get started. Before the break, we cut off, we did the formulas. We also did finding the gradient of a line, the distance between 2 points, the equation of a line. I'm now going to give you a point on the Cartesian plane, right? Let's call this point G. And I'm going to call that X and Y. And the next question I'm going to ask you is find G, X, and Y. Find the coordinates of G, X, and Y. If point G, if G, F, D, E is a rhombus. For 4 marks. So they want the coordinates if G, F, D, E. So we can join these points, G, F, D, E, and they tell you that this is a rhombus. Now, what method will you use? If this is a rhombus, how would you then calculate G's coordinates? Right. The best way to do it, guys, don't use your distance formula. We know a rhombus. What is a rhombus? A rhombus is a tilted square. So we know all 4 sides are equal. You can use the distance formula, will take you too long. You can use the gradient formula. You will then get to use simultaneous equations. Too long. The best way to use it, guys, so whether it's a rhombus, whether it's a square, whether it's a rectangle or a parallelogram, we know that properties of these parallelograms is that the diagonals bisect each other. That means that piece is equal to that piece, and this piece is equal to that piece. That means it's got the same midpoint. Now, although this is not drawn to scale, although it looks like it's on the y-axis, but it's not drawn to scale, so it doesn't necessarily have to be on the y-axis. Okay, so this point here is your midpoint. So we're going to be using the midpoint formula. Why? Because the same midpoint of this line here would be the same midpoint of that line. it's got a common midpoint. So we use the midpoint formula. So let's start here. What is the midpoint of EF? So let's go here. We want the midpoint of EF. Now the midpoint of EF is going to be x1 plus x2 over 2. That's the formula as I gave it to you guys before. And then y1 plus y2 over 2. So let's call this one x1, y1, x1, y1. Let's call that one x2, y2. So x1 plus x2, x1 plus x2. So it's minus 10 plus 12 over 2. And then y1 plus y2 over 2. And there we go. Minus 10 plus 12 is 2. 2 over 2 is 1. 2 minus 8 minus 6. Negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. And that is your midpoint. Your midpoint is 1 and negative 3. So it's not on your y-axis. It's not on your y-axis. It's 1 and negative 3. Now we need to find G's coordinates. And how do we find G's coordinates, guys? How do we find G's coordinates? We got the midpoint. We got point D on the line. So now we're going to say X midpoints. I hope you've taken this down. I'm going to erase this. So let's take all this out. Let's see. This eraser. Come on, take everything out for me. Let's go. Let's see what's left over. I hope nothing's left over here. Okay, very little. That's good. Okay, and let's go back. Right, so now we're going to find G's coordinates because that's the question. Find G's coordinates. So we're using the midpoint. We found the midpoint of EF, which is 1 and negative 3. We're now going to be finding G's coordinates. So I'm now going to say X midpoint is equal to X1 plus X2 over 2. And Y midpoint is equal to Y1 plus Y2 all over 2. Right, so what's your X midpoint? In fact, let's just go back there. What's your X midpoint? X midpoint is 1 is equal to X1, let's call that X, plus X2 plus 4 all over 2. Y midpoint, negative 3, is equal to Y1, which is Y, plus Y2, which is 20, all over 2. Right, now all we're doing now is we're solving for X and Y, and that will give us G's coordinates. So let's go back. Let's go here. Let's get our pen in. And here we go. We multiply this side by 2. We multiply that side by 2. What do I get? I get 2 is equal to X plus 4. So X is equal to 2 minus 4 is minus 2. And then 2 times minus 3 is minus 6 is equal to Y plus 20. So Y is equal to minus 6 minus 20 minus 26. And there we go, guys. Here's G's coordinates. Minus 2 and minus 26. There we go. Negative 2 and negative 26. And there we go, guys. That is your coordinates of G. They told us it was a rhombus. So I did not use the distance formula. I did not use the gradient. You could have used it if you wanted to. However, you would have had to, like I said, you would have had to use simultaneous equations. It would have been too much work for you. Okay, guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. I hope you're getting all this down. We're now coming towards the end of analytics. This is your normal analytics. This is easy analytics. We're now going to be starting with circle analytics. And this is going to be for grade 12s only. So from now till the end of this segment and the following, remember we got one more segment, we got one more ad break. And then after the ad break, we'll continue with segment 3 for today's episode. And we will be completing circle analytics for grade 12. So let's get started with the circle analytics, guys. Let's get started with circle analytics. And like I said, this is for grade 12 only. So let's put the heading there, circle analytics. And circle analytics, here we are dealing with the equation of a circle. Now, you know that if you had a circle, and that was its center was at 0 and 0, that is the radius. You all know from grade 10, what is the equation of a circle? The equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. That's the equation of a circle. But this is if the center is at 0 and 0. What if the circle moves? What would the new equation be? So this is where we at. So if the circle had to move, and let's say that point there was, let's say 2 and 6, and let's say the radius was 5. Now, what would the equation of the circle be? Now, please learn, grade 12s, I want you to learn this formula. X minus x1 squared plus y minus y1 squared is equal to r squared. Right? It's the same. Here's it. X squared, here we go, x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. It's the same. Only thing now, because the center has moved, x1, y1 represents the coordinates of the center of the circle. So let's go. How would we find? So this is type number 1. Guys, under this here, before I do, I'm going to take you through all the types. There are 4 types. We're going to start with type 1. If you master these 4 types, there's nothing in the exam that can beat you. Okay, so let's start with the first one. X, so they want the equation. So this is type number 1. Find the equation of the circle. Find the equation of the circle. Okay. So we start here in your exam. You always start with your formula. Right. Therefore, we know x1, y1 represents the center. So you're going to have x minus 2 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to r squared, 5 squared. And there we go. X minus 2 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to 5 squared, 25. And there we go, guys. This is type 1. This is your very basic, right? Very elementary, but you need to know it because once we start doing the higher order application problems, we're definitely going to need all of this in order to apply it. So this is all your foundation. This is your tools, your building blocks to answer those big questions. So make sure you understand this one. This one is called type number 1. So let's put there type 1. Finding the equation of the circle, and there we go. Sometimes, listen to me, grade 12s, you know sometimes they might expand this. So you got x minus 2 squared. They want it in the form, let's say, they want it in the form x squared plus ax plus y squared plus by plus c equals 0. They want it in this form. Okay, let's say they want it there in that form. Then all you're going to do is just expand the brackets here. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it. Let's try and expand this to get it into this form. And then they'll say find the values of a, b, and c. Okay, so let's do it. X minus 6 squared plus x minus 2 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to 25. Let's do it. X minus 2 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to 25. And they want you to expand it. So how do we expand it, guys? Remember, we are squaring a binomial. So this would be x squared. But you only do this if the question asks. You only do this if the question asks. If not, you leave it there on the top. If the question asks you to expand it, then only do you expand it. So let's expand it. X squared minus 4x plus 4 plus y squared minus 12y plus 6 squared is 36 minus 25 is equal to 0 because they wanted 0. Remember we had x squared plus ax plus y squared plus by plus c equals 0. They wanted it in this form. Now we collect our like terms. What are we left with? X squared minus 4x. There we go. Plus y squared minus 12y. Then you got 4 plus 36 is how much? 40. 40 minus 25 is 15. Plus 15 is equal to 0. And there we go. Remember this was a. Remember it was x squared plus ax plus y squared plus by plus c equals 0. So they wanted a, b, and c. So here we go. A is equal to, what does a represent? A is equal to negative 4. B is equal to how much? Negative 12. And what is c equal to? 15. And there we go, guys. A, B, and C. Again, I'm going to remind you, only if the question asks you to expand it, do you expand it. Other than that, you just leave it exactly like it was right on the top. And this was type number 1. This was all still forming part of type number 1. Let's go into type number 2. So guys, take this down. Take this down. Master type number 1. Let's go on to type number 2. What was type number 1? Where your center, coordinates of your center was given and the radius. Okay. Let's delete this. Let's go on to type number 2. Right, so we go here. Type 2. What does type 2 look like? So let's say they give you a circle, right? And they tell you that point there is say 2 and 4, and let's say they call that P, and P is the center of the circle. And they give you another point here, and they call that point B, and they tell you that is 10 and 12. Right. Now they ask you, this is type 2. Now they don't give you the radius. So type 1, center and radius. Type 2, center and a point. Right, now they want the equation of the circle. What do they want? They want the equation of the circle for 5 marks. Right, what do we need? We need the center, we got the center, and we need the radius. Do I have the radius? No, I don't. Can I find the radius? Yes, I can. I've got 2 points. So I can say, so let's first find the radius. So in our answer, let's first find the radius. And we use the distance formula. So we're going to say PB, or we can say PB squared. I can square both sides. X2 minus X1 all squared, which is R squared. Remember? Radius squared, PB squared. X2 minus X1 squared plus Y2 minus Y1 all squared. So PB squared will be X2 minus X1 squared, X2 minus X1 squared, plus Y2 minus Y1, Y2 minus Y1 squared. So what would this give me? 10 minus 2 is 8, 8 squared is 64, plus 12 minus 4 is 8, 8 squared is again 64. 64 plus 64, 128. So R squared is equal to 128. Now we can find the equation of the circle. The EQTN, means I'm just shorthand for equation. Obviously, write your formula in. X minus X1 squared plus Y minus Y1 squared is equal to R squared. We got R squared, which is 128. What is X1, Y1? The center of my circle. So X minus 2 squared plus Y minus 4 squared is equal to 128. And there we go. That is your equation of your circle for 5 marks. You've done it in 2 parts. We've done it in 2 parts. Part number 1. Part number 1, we found the radius. This was step 1. We found the radius. And then step 2, we found the equation using the correct formula. Radius, use your radius formula. Equation, use your equation formula. And there we go, guys. You got yourself another guaranteed 5 marks. So this was type 2. We're now going to go into type 3, guys. Now, type 3 is where they give you the equation and you're going to complete the square and work backwards in order to find the coordinates of the center of the circle and the radius. So type 1, type 2, I hope you guys have taken all of this down. I hope you've taken all of this down. We're just finding out from the control room how much time we've got left for the segment. I think we've got about, how many, 7 minutes? Okay, good. 7. So in 7 minutes, I'm going to show you a shortcut now on how to complete the square. Guys, let's get started. Right. Now they give you a situation like this, guys. Now they tell you x squared plus 6x plus y squared minus, let's say 10y is equal to 2. Right? They give you an equation like that. Now they tell you find the coordinates of the center of the circle and the radius. So they give it to you in expanded form. Find the coordinates of the center of the circle and the radius for 4 marks. Now guys, whether they ask you to find the coordinates of the center of the circle and the radius or they don't ask you, the minute you see a situation like this under analytics, you know you've got to find the coordinates of the center and the radius. Whether they ask you or they don't, because there's no way you can manipulate anything from here if you don't have the center of the circle and you don't have the radius. So right, how do we do it? That's your question. In your answer. Right, now you're going to need to follow. This is what we call standard form. x squared x, y squared y equals a constant. This is what we call standard form, right? ST, standard form, right? You want to have x squared and then x and then y squared y equals to a constant. You want to have it always in this format before you complete the square. Now I'm going to show you a shortcut on how to complete the square. So what you do, remember, we want to complete the square. So it must look like this. Right. So we took out the square, so we left with x. We took out the square here, so we left with y. So we need two numbers here, and we need a number on that side. Because that, after we complete the square, x minus x1 squared plus y minus y1 squared will equal to r squared. Right. How do we get these two numbers? This is what we do, guys. Pay attention and write this down. To get this number here, you take the coefficient of x and you divide it by 2. So you divide by 2 plus whatever you divided by 2, whatever coefficient of x you divided by 2, you square it. So divide by 2 plus x squared, then whatever you did for x, you got to do for y. Then divide by 2, the coefficient of y, plus y squared. And there we go. That is how you would complete the square. So just learn this. Divide by 2 plus x squared, divide by 2 plus y squared. Say it after me. Divide by 2 on the side, divide by 2 plus x squared, divide by 2 plus y squared. Say it one more time. Divide by 2, we talk about the coefficient of x. Divide the coefficient of x, divide by 2 plus x squared on the other side, and then divide, whatever I do for x, I got to do for y. Divide by 2 plus x squared, divide by 2 plus y squared. So here goes. Let's do it together. Right? How much time we got left? I think 3 minutes? 2 minutes? Okay, let's go. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So there we go. Divide by 2 plus x squared. So we got 2 plus, there's the 2, there's the 2. Don't forget, we divided by 2 plus x squared. This x, square it. 3 squared is 9. And then minus 10 divided by 2 is minus 5. And minus 5 squared is 25. And here we go, guys. There we go. Divide by 2 plus the x value squared. And then divide the coefficient of y by 2 plus y squared. And here we go. X plus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared is equal to 2 plus 9 is 11. 11 plus 25 is 36. So here we go. X minus x1 squared plus y minus y1 squared is equal to r squared. So what's the coordinates of your center? Minus 3 and plus 5. Remember, you changed both these signs. Right? That's the center, your coordinates of your center. And then r squared is equal to 36. There we go. R squared is equal to 36. Let's just write that properly. Therefore, r is equal to the square root of 36, which is equal to 6. And there we go, guys. The shortcut of completing the square. And let's go through it again before we cut for ad break. I'm going to give you one before ad break, right? Let's see. I'm going to mix it all up for you. Get it into standard form. Get me the coordinates of the center of the circle and the radius. When we get back from the ad break, we will actually do the memo for it. Right. So let's see. I'm going to mix one up. Let's mix one up here for you before we cut for ad break. X squared plus y squared. Let's say plus 8x minus 12y minus 1 equals 0. There we go. I've mixed them all up for you. Get it into standard form. Complete the square. Find me the coordinates of the center of the circle and the radius. Guys, you guys tune to the Qurtuba Online Academy math show. I'm your host and presenter, Mr. K. Hope you guys are enjoying it. I'll see you guys after the break. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Qurtuba Online Academy math show. I'm your host and presenter, Mr. K. And before break, I left you with this question. Right? Remember, I showed you the shortcut. I showed you guys the shortcut on how to complete the square. Let's see whether you guys got this one right. Okay, so that was the question. I wanted the coordinates of the center of the circle and the radius. Let's see whether you can apply the method that I just showed you. Okay, so here we go. We're going to say this is x squared. Firstly, standard form. plus 8x, so let's rearrange it, plus y squared minus 12y is equal to 1. That's what we call standard form. Now, guys, let's apply. Remember what I said, divide by 2 plus x squared, divide by 2 plus y squared. So x squared, x, plus 8 divide by 2. Remember, divide by 2. 8 divide by 2 is 4 squared, plus y minus 12 divided by 2 is 6 squared, is equal to 1 plus 4 squared is 16. You must square whatever you divided here in the bracket. You got to square it on the other side. Plus 36. Right, 6 squared is 36. So here we go. Here's your final answer. X plus 4 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to 1 plus 16 is 17. 17 plus 36, 53. I hope I'm right. 17 plus 36. Yes, 53. Right. So what is the center of your circle? The coordinates of the center of your circle, that would be minus 4. Remember, change the signs. Minus 4 and positive 6. And then r squared is equal to 53. So r is equal to the square root of 53. And there we go, guys. We are done. So that was the coordinates of your center. That's what you were required to find. The coordinates of the center of your circle and the radius. And how did we do it? We did it by completing the square. We did it by the shortcut of completing the square. Divide the coefficient of x by 2. Divide the coefficient of x by 2 plus x squared. And then divide the coefficient of y by 2 plus y squared. And there we go. We've completed the square. Hope you guys got it right. Okay. I'm going to show you one more concept, guys. One more concept, type number 4. And this is finding equation of the tangent to the circle. So let's go. So let's do this. So this is now type number 4. Guys, this is the last segment for today, right? In today's episode, this is segment number 3. If you missed any of the previous ones, don't stress. Go to Hilaal TV, go to the Qurtuba Online Math Rescue Program, and all the episodes are all uploaded. Today's episode obviously will be uploaded tomorrow. Okay, so type number 4. I give you a circle. So that's your Cartesian plane. I give you a circle. I tell you the center here is P, and that is 4 and 2. And it's got a tangent passing here at point B. And let's say that is 10 and 12. Right. They tell you, find the equation of the tangent passing through B. The question is, find the equation of the tangent through B, through point B. Okay, now we know that a tangent is given by y is equal to mx plus c. Right? We know that the equation of a tangent is given by y equals mx plus c. So what do we need, guys? What do we need? We need the gradient and we need a point. So we've got a point. We've got a point on the graph. I'm short of the gradient. I'm short of m. Do I have m? As it stands, do I have m? No, I don't have m. Can I find m? Yes, I can. How? By finding the m of the radius. Right? Why? Because we know from Euclidean geometry that a radius is always perpendicular to a tangent. So, this is the way we're going to do it. Guys, I'm going to give you a template. This is how you'll unpack it in your exam. So, in your answer, the first thing you're going to say the m of your radius. The m of your radius, we know, is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So, let's go. Let's call this x2, y2. y2 minus y1, that's 12 minus 2 over 10 minus 4. What am I left with? 12 minus 2 is 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 10 over 6, we know we can simplify it as 5 over 3. There we go. So we got the m of our radius is 5 over 3. Now we can say, therefore, the m of your tangent is going to equal to negative 3 over 5. Remember, change the sign, flip the fraction. Why are you saying that? Because there's a relationship between the radius and the tangent, right? Because the radius is 90 degrees to your tangent. So we know that the m of your one line multiplied by the m of your other line must equal to minus 1, right? So there we go. So the shortcut to do it is just change the sign and flip the fraction. Now we want the equation of the tangent. So now we go, therefore your equation of your tangent, and what's the equation of your tangent going to be? Y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. Y is equal to mx plus c. We've got the gradient and we've got the point. So let's go. Y minus 12 is equal to m minus 3 over 5, which you just found now, into x minus 10. Let's go. Y minus 12 is equal to, let's multiply this out, minus 3 over 5x plus 5 goes into 10. 2 times 3 is 6. Your final answer, here's your final answer, guys. Y is equal to minus 3 over 5x plus 6 plus 12 plus 18. And there we go. That is your final answer. And that was your last and final type out of your circle analytics for grade 12. Guys, I hope you've taken it down. I'm just going to circle it in terms of the steps, in terms of the procedure. This was step number 1. This was step number 1. This was step number 2. And this was step number 3, or part number 3. So it's done in 3 parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3. The m of your radius, there we go, 5 over 3. The m of your tangent, minus 3 over 5. Why? Because your radius is 90 degrees to your tangent. And then your equation of your tangent, y is equal to mx plus c, or y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. Okay, guys, that brings us to the end of this. Let's now apply. Let's do another concept, guys. There's another concept that I want to teach you guys, where they give you 2 circles, and they ask you, do the circles touch? This is for grade 12. Very, very important for grade 12. Do they have 2 points of intersection, or do they have no points of intersection? All right, let's do that. That's where we're going to wrap up this concept of circle analytics with. Okay, so let's go. I hope you guys have taken everything down and you're enjoying today's show. So they give you 2 circles. Let's say they tell you x minus 4 squared plus y plus 2 squared is equal to 6. That's circle number 1. And now say they give you another circle. And they say another circle given in the form, or let's say they tell you x plus 8 squared plus y minus 12 squared is equal to 4. Right, so they give you 2 circles. Now they ask you in the exam, without sketching, so here goes, without sketching or drawing the circles, determine whether the above 2 circles have, number 1, they can either have, will they have no points of intersection? Will they have 2 distinct points of intersection? Or will they just touch? And another word for just touch with 2, so no points of intersection means that the 2 circles would be like that. 2 distinct points of intersection means that the circles would be like that. They've got 2 distinct points of intersection. And just touch means, will the 2 circles just touch each other like that? Another word for touch is tangential. Remember these words. So they could ask you so now you need to determine, without sketching the graphs, whether these 2 circles are apart, whether they overlap each other, or they just touch each other like that. Okay, so now you need to write down a set of rules. And let's see what are your rules for this. So you need to take down the rules. Right, let's take down the rules. Okay, if the distance between your centers, is greater than the sum of your radii, then they will have no points of intersection. These are rules, these are laws. You need to write them down. You need to memorize them. If your distance between the centers is less than the sum of your radii, then they will have two distinct points of intersection. And if your distance between your centers is equal to the sum of your radii, then they will be tangential, or they will just touch. So it's done by a set of rules. So the distance between the centers, if the distance between the centers is greater than the sum of your radii, the two circles will never touch, right? They will have no points of intersection. Okay, so now if this is your set of rules, let's see if you can apply it for this, right? So let's see what we're going to do here. So they said without sketching, that means it's done by calculation. So let's see, let's do this calculation here, and let's see what would be the result of this. And like I said, guys, a question like this could be worth about 4 marks. So please make sure you know it for your final exams. It's a very important concept for you to know. Okay, so let's go through this. Let's see what result we get here. So now we say, let's see, distance between centers. So what is the distance between the centers? Your first center is at 4 and -2. Your second center is going to be at -8 and 12. Let's calculate the distance between the centers. So the distance between the centers is going to equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared. Minus times minus will give me a positive. Right, so let's see the distance between the centers. So this would give me -8 minus 4 minus 12 squared is 144 plus 14 squared. 14 times 14, what's 14 times 14? 196, I think. 14 times 14, what's 14 squared? Let's go to our calculators quickly. Let's go there. Casio, 14 squared. I think it is 14 times 14, 196. There we go. So that would be the square root of, so let's go back to our calculator. 144 plus 196 will give me the square root of 340, and the square root of 340, the square root of 340, 18,4. Let's call it 18,4. That is the distance between your two centers, right? That's that distance between the centers. Now let's do the sum of your radii. The sum of your radii. Your sum of your radii is going to be, now remember this is r squared. So that means your r is equal to the square root of 6. So you got the square root of 6 plus the square root of 4. So let's go to our calculators again. Square root of 6, go to the side, plus the square root, where we go, where's the square root side? There we go, square root of 4. Go to the side again, equals. We get 4,5. We get 4,45. 4,45. Let's call it 4,4. Right. Obviously, we can clearly see that the distance 18,54 or 18,4. 18,4 is greater than 4,4. Right? So therefore, the distance between the centers, my distance between the centers is greater than the sum of my radii. So the distance between my centers is greater than the sum of my radii. So what will happen? These two circles will have no points of intersection. But you've got to show all calculations. Okay, so that's how you do it. You first calculate the distance between the centers. You calculate the sum of the radii. You compare the two. And then you just read it off against the rules. And these are your results. If the distance between the centers is greater than the sum of your radii, no points of intersection. And that is our solution for this problem. Okay, so guys, I hope you're taking it down. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Give us a thumbs up. Like the show. Go to YouTube. Watch the show. Call Hilaal TV online or Qurtuba Online Academy. Phone them. Tell them exactly how much you guys are enjoying the show. Okay, let's go back. Let's give you another model. So here we go. I'm clearing this out. Let's give you a set of questions now, guys. Let's give you a set of questions. Let's give you a circle. Let's take this one down. Let's give you a circle that is sitting like this. Let's say O, that's O, and O is the center of the circle. And I tell you that is 2 and negative 4. Right. I now give you a tangent passing there. And that point there is point D. And I tell you D's coordinates is -1 and 6. -1 and 6. Okay, so 2 and -4, -1 and 6. Let's ask you these questions. Right. Question number 1, find the equation of the circle. Find the equation of the circle. And question number 2, find the equation of the tangent through D. Find the equation of the tangent through D. Okay, so here's 2 questions, guys. It's just an application of what we've previously done. So this is -1 and 6. D's coordinates is -1 and 6. O's coordinates, the center of the circle, is 2 and -4. Let's see if you can do these 2 questions quickly. Find the equation of the circle. Find the equation of the tangent through D. In fact, what I can do as well, I can do that, and I can call that angle theta, and I can give you one last question there and ask you, find the value of theta. Right. Here's a quick question. Here's 3 quick exam questions for you. Let's go through them, and that should take us to the end of our episode today. How much time do we have left? Let's just find out from our control room how much time do we have left for today's segment, whether I can complete this memo. We've got 8 minutes left. Let's see within 8 minutes whether we can finish these 3 questions. So, question number 1, the equation of the circle. So, let's do the memo. The equation of the circle, we don't have the radius. We need to find the radius. So obviously, what are we going to do? We're going to say OD squared is equal to x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared. So OD squared will equal to 2 plus 1, 3 squared is 9 plus minus 10 squared is 100. So OD squared is equal to 109. And that's your R squared. That's your R squared. So the equation of the circle, what would your equation of the circle be? The equation of your circle is going to be x minus x1. So x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared is equal to R squared. What's R squared? R squared is 109. And there we go. That is the answer for question number 1. That is the answer for question number 1. So let's see, we're just doing an application of all the types that I've shown you for today's session. Find the equation of the tangent. Find the equation of the tangent. So let's see. Let's do it in a different color. Now I don't want to erase here. I'm going to do it here at the bottom of the screen. So you're just going to follow me here at the bottom. We want the equation of the tangent through point D. That means that tangent there. So obviously we need to calculate the m of our radius. Remember the template I showed you? The m of our radius, is going to equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that will give me negative 10 over minus 4 minus 6 minus 10 over 3. Therefore, the m of my tangent is going to equal to 3 over 10. And why do we say that? Because your radius is 90 degrees to your tangent. Therefore, so this was step number 1. That's step number 2. Step number 3, I'm moving over here to the side. Y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. So now we have to use that point. So y minus 6 is equal to 3 over 10 into x plus 1. Y minus 6 is equal to 3 over 10x plus 3 over 10. Your final answer, y is equal to 3 over 10x. 3 over 10 plus 6. Let's go to our calculators, guys. 3 over 10 plus 6. 3 over 10. Let's go to the side. Plus 6 equals 6,3. So we get 6,3. plus 6,3. And there we go, guys. That's your final solution. Right, step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. We now need to find the last one, find angle theta. Right, guys, this is now going to take us to the end of our episode. The last one, find angle theta. So I'm just looking for space here on the board because I don't want to take any of this off. Let's do it here on the top. Let's do it on the top. So we're finding angle theta. We're using the angle of inclination tan theta. Tan theta is equal to the gradient of the line is equal to the M of line D. Let's call it line D. Right. So tan theta is equal to, what was the gradient of this line of our tangent? We found it was 3 over 10. Am I right? 3 over 10. So therefore theta is equal to, let's go, shift tan 3 over 10. Let's go to our calculators, guys. Shift tan fraction 3 over 10. And that gives you 16,69. Right? So let's say 16,7 degrees. 16,7 degrees. But we want the obtuse angle. Remember, theta here is obtuse. We getting an acute answer. So theta will equal to 180 minus 16,7. Theta will equal to, lots of writing, lots of math, lots of numbers. 180 minus 16,7. What do we get? 163,3 degrees. Yes, you are correct. 163,3. And that is angle theta. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you guys have taken all this down and you're enjoying our show and our series of shows. Remember, our next show, we're starting off with trigonometry, compound and double angles. It's a show you guys don't want to miss. 16 episodes to complete the entire year's syllabus for you, grade 12, to get you final ready for the final exams. Guys, like we always say in the show, if you missed any of the shows, go to Hilaal TV. Go to the Qurtuba Online Math Rescue Show. Watch all our previous episodes. Contact Hilaal TV. Contact Qurtuba Online. If you like our shows, if you like more of these shows, please let them know. I'm your host. I'm your presenter, Mr. K from the QOA Institute. We're shooting here from the Qurtuba Online Studios here in Johannesburg, South Africa. Hope you guys are liking the show. Master all the content. And I'll see you guys in our next episode, which will be on trigonometry, the compound and double angles. From me and the entire team, the crew and the studio here in Johannesburg, we bid you Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
في ساحة للعلم كنا نلتقي والحب والإخلاص زاد قلوبنا.